Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori. I want to dive in today about the topic of selfless service, the way of selfless service, which the way of selfless service is the 12th universal way of oneness out of 20. The way of selfless service is not for free. That's our topic. Selfless service is not for free. So let's talk about what that means, okay? Because selfless service, um, the act of service or selfless service, that topic or that title, or I think the way people show up and try to be of selfless service is often really put in a box, and it's put in a box of ego and pride and criticism and a lot of negativity that comes from an egoic definition of selfless service versus what selfless service really truly is. And I want to clear this up. If you are offering an act of selfless service, can that be something that you give away for free? Of course it can, 100%. But it does not mean that selfless service, the way that you are showing up or what you are offering, if it is paid for, does not mean it is not selfless service. That's what I want people to understand, because it is ridiculous the way that we treat people when we have, really amazing spiritual teachers in the world, healers, incredible coaches, and especially from the spiritual community, all this crap about you should be giving all of everything away for free. Really? Now I see your programs with abundance and money. I can see where you are dead broke. You have a horrible relationship, a very dysfunctional relationship with money. And you think you're a better person if you are broke, that you're more spiritual than other people if you have no money and you're poor and you're broke. That is where those are the programs running when people think that everything you do should be for free, especially if you're a healer or you're a this or you're a teacher or you're a blah, 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 blah. Those are your egoic programs running, and you are projecting onto other people. That does not in any way, shape, or form mean you are somehow more holy or you are more spiritual or you're a higher level of consciousness if you give everything away for free. It is ridiculous. It actually shows your insecurities. It shows that if you believe you need to renounce everything in order to be really spiritual, you're actually the opposite. You're not a higher level of consciousness when you do that, because in order to renounce everything, why can't you handle having anything? It means you're trying to spiritually bypass and take the easy way out. There's a big difference between I'm not addicted to materialism. I don't need that. I don't need those things. I don't need that to prove or identify or label who I am by having all those material things. But you could be extremely, extremely, extremely wealthy and be a really highly conscious, elevated, even enlightened being. You can be very wealthy. And the truth is, the more wealth that you have, if you are truly a highly conscious person, what you would be able to do and how you would be able to reach people and help people in very selfless ways because of the amount of money you did have, you would be able to go anywhere you wanted, whenever you wanted, jump into the jet and go and teach and help and heal and do whatever, because you would be more accessible, because you wouldn't be constrained by or limited by a lack of funds because you couldn't get to an event, or you couldn't get there, you couldn't go there, or you couldn't go help these people over here because you couldn't travel there because you have no money to fucking get there. The level of distortion that we have, especially right now in our world regarding money, and somehow this automatic projection onto people who have an incredible amount of money. You automatically are projecting they must be selfish, they must be greedy. No way are they selfless. They're probably really shitty people. Why are you coming up to those? How the hell are you making those conclusions about people that you don't know? What, just because they have money? That's insane. Think about how the what the level of insanity is to that. I mean, come on. First of all, we've created a world where everybody needs money in order to not just survive, but to also thrive. We've created that world. We've created a system based on money. Now, I'm not here to talk about that the system is totally corrupt and fucked up and all of those things, because it is. You're not going to get an argument from me there. It absolutely is. You're not going to hear me argue with you about, the fact that there are some elites that really run this planet, because there are. And are there elite people with an insane amount of money that are extremely corrupt and evil? Yeah, they are. They are. They exist. I'm not here to tell you that doesn't exist and that it isn't a serious, massive problem in our world and in our cultures, all cultures. I'm talking about global culture when I say culture. Um, Absolutely exists. It's awful. And the more elevated and the more we heal, guess what? The easier it is to transform that and do something about it to change it. So, how do you get there? Well, you don't tell the people who are extremely elevated, highly conscious, to fucking give their shit away for free. How do you ever change the massive problems that we have if you're not willing to pay for services where people are here on this planet to help change this world, to help change humanity? You should be telling everybody to pay for the services for people who are here to change as much as humanity as possible in order to make a bigger energetic impact on what's happening in the world with the people who really are greedy and corrupt and controlling, all the things that they're controlling out there. I'm not going to go into detail because this will get taken down. It won't be aired. Like, it'll literally be removed if I say too much. It might already with what I've said already. So, how do you think we are going to make a bigger impact if you're not willing to promote and pay for the people who are here teaching the things, guiding people on an energetic level, teaching them the energetic processes to change their vibrational frequency to make a bigger impact on this world in a really powerful, positive way? Okay, so let's understand again what selfless service really is. And first of all, selfless service starts with yourself, your willingness to dissolve your ego, to heal your wounds, to heal your own programs that are not a reflection of your divine self, or that are not a reflection of oneness consciousness, of the 20 universal ways of oneness. The selfless service is first serving yourself the healing you need, the teachings you need to awaken to a higher level of consciousness, and then awaken to the next higher level, and then the next higher level, to elevate, 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 and not to stop, because this planet and every being on it needs you to be more and more and more elevated. The more elevated you become in your level of consciousness, in your level of divine power that you can share with everyone, with everything you do, with every job you do, with every act of service you offer, the more divine power you can infuse in every interaction, and everything that you do, everything that you create helps to change this planet. And it helps to change the greed and the corruption as well. Whether you do that in a hands-on kind of way or not, guess what? It doesn't matter if you are healing and elevating yourself first, foremost, and always. Because when you do that, you are helping to change and heal everything that's wrong with humanity and the planet, everyone on it. Right? So that is the first understanding in what the way of selfless service actually is. Okay? That's where you start. That is selfless service. Okay? To understand more fully, excuse me, to understand more fully, you start with yourself, right? So you focus on your own healing and your own continuous growth. No one can be truly selfless when they carry around their wounding and unloving programs and project those wounding and programs onto other people. Literally, you are not a selfless service. You are not offering selfless service. You are not a selfless person when you carry around your wounding and you are unhealed and you refuse to grow and mature and grow up out of those programs and heal those programs. You are not selfless. You cannot be selfless to another when you're carrying around your wounds and your programming. And then in our age of, digital media, of social media, jumping on everywhere you can find, attacking people, telling them, fuck you, you know what the fuck talk about, let me put you down, let me vomit and fucking project on my programming, let me label you and project onto you that you're angry or you're this or you're that, when really it's you that's the fucking angry one, or you wouldn't be on there attacking another person on their social media platforms. You wouldn't be putting people down. You wouldn't be trolling trolls out there. You wouldn't be doing any of that stuff. If you had any idea what the way of selfless service actually was, you wouldn't project your programming, your wounds onto other people, your partner, your family members, or a stranger on social media. You wouldn't do that. So that is a deeper understanding of the way of selfless service. It means you have healed yourself. Selfless service means you have healed your shame, your narcissistic, selfish, entitled tendencies. You've healed your entitlement. You've healed your inequality. You have healed these things. Okay. That's what it means. And of course, it means, and here's the real definition, the act of offering something. The way of selfless service is the act of offering something to oneself or to another for the sole purpose of helping. The act of offering something to oneself or to another for the sole purpose of helping. Now, think about that. If someone has a business that is in coaching or healing or educating, and they're coming from a selfless place, all they want to do is help others. They want to help others heal, elevate, heal their trauma, heal their addictions, etc. These are just a few examples. They want to help others in that very genuine way. That is the way of selfless service. You tell me why the hell they shouldn't be paid for that. Get out of here. The way of selfless service, for example, is, and do not misunderstand before I say this, do not misunderstand and think the only way is through the way of going to college and getting educated. I'm not saying that. This is just one example. But one example of selfless service is to go to college, get the degree, get your master's degree, go on to specialize. This is one of the things that I've done. Go on to then specialize in mental, emotional, behavioral health, to 100% heal every single thing that is unloving or broken or wounded inside of myself, so I can walk my talk when I teach what I teach. You can't be a teacher if you haven't become what you're teaching, right? This is my devotion. This has always been my devotion, first to myself. Why? Because I didn't want to be the person that I saw in front of me when I was a child. I didn't want to be that abusive stepfather who was so selfish and drowning in his own programs and wounds and shit and mental illness, etc., that I would then become that, and that's what I would share with other people when I got older. I didn't want to become that. I didn't want to hurt people the way he was hurting me. So that is selfless service. That I made a vow to myself. Wasn't to work with people, by the way. In case any of you don't know this, that was not a goal of mine. I wasn't going to go start a corporation, a global corporation, to help heal and elevate people on this planet. That was never on my radar when I was young. It's not like that was what I wanted to do when I grew up. That get out of here wasn't even on my radar. My goal, my purpose was to heal myself. Why? Because I wasn't going to be a human that projected upon, that caused pain, that criticized, that judged, that did all those ugly fucking shadow self stuff, unconscious, spiritually unconscious ways of being. I wasn't going to carry the disease of emotional fragility the way that fucking man did. I wasn't going to be that. That doesn't make me, oh, now you think you're superior. If that's how you're interpreting this shit, turn it off and go. You're not ready to listen to elevated teachings yet. Because I wasn't superior. even to my abusive stepfather. I was not and I am not superior to that person. Superiority doesn't fucking exist here. Inferiority doesn't fucking exist here. The way of equality does. We are all divine souls having a human experience. It doesn't mean that as a divine soul having a human experience, that you as a human aren't a shitty one, because there are plenty of them around. Showing up in your wounding and your programming, that is not selfless service. Showing up as a selfish or a defensive or a critical person, that's not selfless service to other people. And I'm not judging. There's no judgment here. This is the truth. This is the way of truth. So when I saw this and I witnessed this and I was on the receiving end of abuse, I said, I'm not going, my vow to myself is I'm going to heal myself and I'm going to find out every goddamn way that I am running programs or I'm repeating patterns from my abusive, horrific, unloving childhood, because I don't want to make another person feel the way that I feel right now. Because the way that I feel right now, I would rather be fucking dead than feel the way that this person, my parents, my stepfather made me feel. I wanted to be dead. I didn't want to live through that level of abuse. It was horrific. Not to mention I'm hyper sensitive. And I have all these, psychic abilities, which makes me even more hypersensitive, which makes me more sensitive to feeling the pain of how horrific somebody is when they're that cruel and critical and mean, right? So it was torture. And I knew and I decided I wasn't going to be responsible for making anybody else feel that way. Now, if you misinterpret, just because you feel offended doesn't mean somebody's being offensive. There's a teaching there. Just because you feel hurt doesn't mean somebody's being hurtful to you. Right? But just because you feel attacked doesn't mean somebody's attacking you. Just because you feel judged does not mean somebody is judging you. Those are your programs, your wounds that you're projecting onto other people. But the way of selfless service is I am not, will not be somebody that judges or criticizes. For example, I will speak the truth, universal truth, and I will be able to discern what truth is and offer that in teachings, offer that in my language to other humans, whether it's a partner, whether it's friends, whether it's clients, whether it's an audience full of people that I'm speaking to. It doesn't matter what format it comes in. That's the vow I made to myself. That was selfless service that I started with me, myself, and I, because that's where selfless service starts. Only when you can do that for yourself can you genuinely, in an authentic, divine way, offer that to other people. So if I chose that for me, and then I went on to get the college degree and I went on to study, and I thought that was the path back then, all those couple more than going on 3 decades ago now. I thought that was the path to being the best version of me so I could be the best version to offer other humans. Do you understand? That was my goal. So I got the college degree. I got the master's degree. I went on to specialize in mental emotional behavioral health. I did all the things spiritually to awaken and pass my tests of initiation to walk my talk. I've done it all. I have healed my wounds. I've done all of that. And by doing that, that was a choice. I made that choice in order to be as selfless as humanly possible to other people, in order to be as unconditionally loving as possible to other people, in order to be as compassionate as possible, to be harmlessness and gentleness. All of these are the ways of oneness. If you haven't yet, go buy the book, The 20 Universal Ways of Oneness, taught by the spirit of an enlightened dog, on Amazon. You can buy the book and read about the ways of oneness. So this was my goal. This was what I wanted to achieve. This is who I wanted to become for me. Now, why for me? That sounds selfish. No, because if I achieve it for myself, I'm able to easily, selflessly offer it to you. That is the way of selfless service, right? So when you do all of those things and you study and you put the years in, you put the time in, and you've passed your test of initiations and you have the degree and you have all the things from every angle you can have, and you've become what you've become, and you start your own business and you're running a corporation and you're doing all the things, you're offering services to people. That is selfless service. It doesn't mean you don't deserve to get paid. So for all of you people out there who run the programs, who especially spiritual people, who you've done the certifications, you've invested time and money in yourself, you've invested the time to practice your particular modality, your particular type of coaching, maybe, for example, you've educated yourself to make sure what you're offering is the highest product to offer or the highest, most educated, well-informed services to offer. That's selfless service. If you took a weekend course and then, or you went to couples therapy for 3 months before you got divorced. This is a real story, by the way. This is a real example. You go to couples therapy for 3 months before you and your wife decide, nope, we really are going to go our separate ways. We really are going to get a divorce here. And because you went to couples therapy for 3 months, you now think you're a relationship coach and you go online and call yourself a relationship coach. That's not selfless service. That's manipulation. You are not educated enough. You are not trained enough. You haven't studied long enough to become what you need to understand, learn, and become yourself in order to be an authentic relationship coach. It's not about a title. It's not about making money off of that. It's about the service you are providing to another human. If you got certified in an energy modality to do some form of energy healing last weekend and you did a 3-day thing and this week you're selling it online as a healer, but you haven't taken the time, the months, the years to practice it. I'm not saying you shouldn't make money off of it for 5 whole years before you actually charge for it. Don't you dare project and misunderstand and then fucking come on here and attack. It's ridiculous, people doing that shit. You can offer your services at a price that reflects your level of experience and expertise. Ooh, I know this is about selfless service, but boy, did we just mention the way of integrity. 16th way of oneness out of 20, the way of integrity. Okay. The way of selfless service means I'm brand new, I'm inexperienced. I haven't had a long time educating and training in this. Because I have not had a long time educating and training in this, guess what? I shouldn't be charging the most competitive or the high ticket price because none of that is a reflection of selfless service. If you are a beginner, your prices should reflect that. That is the way of truth. That is the way of honoring. That is the way of selfless service. That is the way of integrity. All of those. That is the way of trust. People should be able to trust you if they can't afford a high ticket, an expert in the field from somewhere else, but they can come to you and know they're getting a good product or a good service, but you haven't been doing it for more than, 6 months. You shouldn't be charging literally. I'm not talking about an expert being a fucking stupid label to make us look good so we can charge more. That does not reflect the way of integrity. And it is not true selfless service, right? I had people for years telling me, what the hell are you charging so little for? Like what you offer is incredible. It's unbelievable. I have had people actually just pay me more than what I was charging. They're like, I just feel like I should pay you more. This is profound work. Holy shit, what you offer. And here's why I wasn't charging at the time the high ticket prices that I charge now is because I wanted to make sure I was thorough enough in the years upon years upon years upon years of experience. And I mean, many, many, many years of experience that I had. I wanted to make sure I was at the highest level, that I really, truly was the level of an expert before I charged high ticket prices that only an expert should be charging. Okay. That's the way of integrity. That is also the way of selfless service. That I selflessly gave my services away for a fraction of the price, even though I knew I could easily charge a lot more at the time years ago because what I was offering was amazing. It was much higher level even than what I was charging. But for me, I wanted to make sure I was dotting my I's and crossing my T's with this work. I also was charging a fraction of the price many years ago because I didn't have the supportive extra tools added into it, meaning like the full digital course and the workbook and this, all of this added into a 3-month program. I didn't have all of that completed yet. So I'm not going to charge the highest price. It isn't worth the highest price until I have all of that together. Now, this is just giving you a real life example. And I've had clients who literally, when they were billed, like they sent me more money. So that is an example of selfless service. I'm not gonna charge you just because I can. That isn't selflessness. That isn't an integrity either, right? I'm gonna charge you what this product right now, even though I was at the time, honestly, I was like way undercharging. But again, the reason I was doing that was I wanted to make sure I was dotting my I's and crossing my T's with the courses that I was building and how I was putting these programs together, the coaching programs that I offer, that we offer at Masters of Self University. So that is an example of selfless service. Now, let me be clear. Selfless service sometimes does mean, yes, you will do things for an extraordinarily discounted price. For you will do it pro bono, you will do it for free. Like sometimes you'll barter, for example. Somebody can't afford it, we can barter. You have something that will help me or whatever. Like, okay, we can make a trade. Sometimes that is selfless service. Sometimes it is volunteer work. For example, of course it means those things too, in addition. Do you understand? But expand the definition of selfless service here. That's what I'm inviting you to do. Understand it more deeply. And here's why. I'm going to come full circle back to this point that the people on this planet who really are devoting their entire lives, their entire existence into healing this world, into healing humanity, into providing what it requires to help people deal and actually alchemize their deepest traumas, for example, their addictions. They're all the things, right? Those of us that do that, that is selfless service. Getting paid for it is what helps us have the ability to reach all the people that we can reach and heal and help and guide and coach. That helps us complete that. That's selfless service. You paying for a service that offers that to humanity is selfless service on your part. Okay. You can talk about the law of reciprocity all you want to, but that isn't even in the equation yet of what I'm talking about. That you pay for something and you get something. You pay for the level of expertise that somebody has that I offer, for example, because I am an actual expert in my field, right? So you should be paying me more for that. I've invested the money, the time, the energy, the sacrifice in a billion different ways in order to offer this to you, in order to offer the coaching, the healing that I do. Like I've sacrificed a lot in order to get to the level. Why have I done that? I've done it for my clients. I've done it for the people who come to me because the people who come to me, I know what it feels like to be desperate and want help and nobody able to help me. I've been there. To try everything doesn't work, doesn't seem to work for me. I've been there. I've done it. So for me, I will never stop elevating. And I won't, because the more I elevate, the more I offer you, the more I am capable of offering to you, whoever you are, whether you're just listening, whether you come for coaching, or you come for a psychic healing session, doesn't matter. I am more powerful in my divinity. When I am more powerful, when I am more elevated, I have more that I can offer you energetically. I have more wisdom that I can share with you. I have more because I am more. And that means you benefit as my client. You benefit from me more. That is selfless service. My growth helps you, helps every person that comes in contact with me. Remember that about yourself. That the more you grow, the more you heal, the more you elevate it, the more you elevate, the more you are automatically, just by being you, the more you are offering to other people. The more divine you become, the more divinity you offer to others. Period. End. That is selfless service. And no, that doesn't always have to come for free. It can come in the form of a product or service that people pay for. What we are lacking when we project onto people, you should offer this for free, bullshit, is a lack of honoring. That is what is really missing in this world right now. I see it probably more than anything, other than the lack of equality, is the lack of honoring. And that is the 11th way of oneness of the 20 universal ways of oneness, is a lack of honoring. Learn how to honor other people, what they're here to do for others. Know that the only way in this world right now that we can survive and thrive is through financial means. Everybody has to pay for something. Everybody has to buy their food for the most part. You can grow your own, but not everybody has the capacity, the time, or the land to do that kind of thing. And besides, you have to devote your whole life to that. It's not easy to do other things for a living and grow your own food. See how we all are supposed to work together in oneness to benefit each other? So the people that slave away and work really hard at growing food should be paid when you go and buy food. Now, I'm not talking about our whole food system being completely fucked up and filled with poison and blah, blah, blah. That's another topic. I'm just talking about the concept of everybody is meant to be here in oneness with one another, offering each other things. And when we live in a financial system, again, not talking about how fucked up and dysfunctional and corrupt, that's not a part of the topic, because I'm not arguing that it isn't. It absolutely isn't. It needs to change. But it doesn't mean, no matter how it may change in the years to come, that people shouldn't get paid for the level of expertise and time and energy it takes for them to offer things to you. That doesn't mean they shouldn't get paid for the quality of service that they provide, for the quality of product. Okay. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind if you are somebody who is, constantly assuming and projecting onto people who are very wealthy that they are automatically greedy. And so you're not really enlightened if you have money. That's so fucking in ignorance. And that shows your own horrifically dysfunctional energetic relationship with finances and abundance and money. That's a reflection of you. That's not a reflection of other people that you're projecting that upon. So the truth is, if the greediest, most horrific, evil people in the world are the wealthiest, how do you think that they are going to be exposed and taken down if you are not helping people who are here to change that become wealthier so that they can use their status and their wealth to battle and combat the evil in the world when they are using money to control people? Think about it. Stop viewing anybody that has money as bad and start enhancing the people who can make a real difference if they become super successful, rather than only having financial success come mostly from people who don't do positive, wonderful things with it that reflect oneness consciousness. We need to have a different rhetoric when it comes to this, right? And no, nobody needs to be a trillionaire. I don't care what level of expert you are. I don't care how light you are. I'm not saying that people need to be trillionaires either. So don't misunderstand the teaching and then meh in the comments and on social media. I want to hear it's ridiculous. We need to grow up and grow out of that shit. Open your heart and understand what the teaching actually is. Offer selfless service first to you. Offer it to other people. Don't offer it from some old third dimensional definition of what selfless service is. Just because people volunteer in a soup kitchen does not mean they're selfless. It doesn't. They might be doing it only to make themselves look better on social media. And that is the only reason why they do it. And then they post it all over social media. That's not selfless. That's manipulation. It's wearing masks. It's being fake so you can get more followers. That's the reason why you did it. then you are not in selfless service if that's the reason why you did it. Think about it. Really let that sink in. And if this really hit home, if this inspired you in some way, if this allowed you to have a deeper definition, a deeper understanding of what the way of selfless service actually is, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe so that you can hear every episode. Make sure you share this with every person that you know. That helps us to get this level of teaching out to more people in the world. Thank you to our listeners, by the way. I love that you tune in and listen to this. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You can ask questions in the comments. It doesn't mean that I or other people have time to necessarily respond and write back to your comments, but I will tell you this, that when people do ask questions, we do our very best to read the questions that people ask when they comment, when they write questions in the comment section. And that helps us to know what you want to learn about. Okay. So we can give you more teachings and topic ideas for our podcast based on that. We can customize that for you. We don't need to customize it based on that. We don't need the questions. If you don't want to ask the questions, you don't have to. Um, but I will tell you that we look at the questions in the comments, and if people have questions, we definitely take those into consideration for podcast topics so that we can help provide and answer the questions that you have. So don't be afraid to ask the questions. Make sure you visit mastersofselfuniversity.com for more teachings and opportunities to get coached for our group classes. Group class, if you can't afford one-on-one coaching, for example, we do the same exact coaching in a group to make it more affordable for those of you who may even just want to prefer a group setting. So check out our group programs, check out our classes. And if you're really inspired, would you like to become a certified mystical life coach? Go check it out at mastersofselfuniversity.com. Apply to our program. Maybe you could be the next coach and on the next Masters of Self University podcast after becoming certified. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful, beautiful day or evening wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now, everybody.